Welcome to another edition of the most talked about wrestling podcast in the entire universe.
Is that true?
It is today.
It is in my heart.
It is in our, that's right. That's a better comeback. Thank you very much. It's AEW Unrestricted, Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards.
Sup?
What's up? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hey, we're so excited to have Sammy Guevara with us, one of our favorites.
That's me.
That's you, man, and we say that honestly. Sammy Guevara, how you been, bud?
I've been good, man. Happy to be back. It feels like deja vu with this show.
Yeah, deja vu all over again, as they would have said many years ago. But Sammy has a long and glorious list of accomplishments and championships in pro wrestling that Aubrey is going to go down for us right now.
Oh, my God. Triple A World Cruiserweight Champion, APW Gladiator Champion, two-time Inspire Pro Junior Crown Champion, the Inspire Pro Pure Prestige Champion, Pro Wrestling Federation of Pakistan Ultimate Champion, Wrestle Circus Ringmaster Champion, Wrestle Circus Sideshow Champion, Extreme Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Champion, and then the 2017 Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500 ranked you at 375.
Yeah, and then it was up from there. Then it was like 400 something, and
That's
almost
the
500.
opposite direction of up.
Yeah. Okay. Down.
Well,
My
I'm
number got
happy.
higher.
I know. I'm happy to have you here. You kind of alluded to it before, but we actually recorded this podcast prior to Fighter Fest, and then that whole thing got scrapped. I know I'm personally excited to have you back at work. So thanks for. I know you went through sensitivity training and whatnot, but it's been really great having conversations with you backstage about all the cool stuff that you've learned and the better person you've become.
I don't know what I just did with my computer.
As we said, the better person you've become, but the worse you've become as far as being able to operate computers.
Yeah,
I think
that's
is what we meant to say.
Hey, well, it's no different from the last time we recorded. I can show you my pop figures if you want and unplug everything again.
I'm sure we're going to see it. So, hey, Sammy, when you came back to AEW, it was really a cool thing where you were as a mask, looked like Serpentico, and it was Sammy Guevara. Talk about that comeback and talk about the discussion behind that, because that was really well done.
Yeah, like Jericho told me he had an idea for me to come back. I didn't really ask too many questions. I was just like, okay, cool. And I was more just working on doing the training and stuff like that. And then when I finished it, it was like, okay, cool. We'll send you the flight and all that. I didn't know what I was doing until probably like an hour, 2 hours before the show started.
Right.
Someone was like, you're going to be Serpentico. I was like, what? Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Then that's my own fault for just not asking questions. But I also trust Jericho, the genius that he is. I'm like, whatever it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be great. And from the response, from what you just said, I think it went off pretty well.
I remember watching it at home and sitting on the couch with my husband, and he's like, oh, so you guys just replaced Sammy with Serpentico? Oh no, that is Sammy. Okay.
I was actually wearing his boots when I jumped the barricade and went to the top rope, and I never tried to stand on the top rope with his boots on before until that moment. And luckily everything worked out, but if you watch the replay, my foot hits the top rope just a little bit. And I remember in midair when I did the shooting star, I thought, oh no, I didn't jump far enough. And then I landed on Luchasaurus and I was like, okay, that worked out.
Yeah.
You just never know sometimes, do you? When you try those crazy things. I mean, you really don't. I mean,
in the moment, I was like, I definitely should have tried his boots on and moved around a little bit. But, me being me, I'm like, I got this.
You're fine. Whatever. Yeah. So what if you land on your head?
Yeah,
be the
whatever.
First time.
Hey, it probably won't be the last time.
That's right.
Jeez.
Sammy, I want to talk about you being involved with not only Les Sex Gods, the tag team you have with Chris Jericho.
This guy over here.
That guy over there.
The Jericho.
Wow.
Sammy cutout.
Yeah, there you go. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, but also being involved in the inner circle. What, for a young man like yourself, what a rub this is for you, really, to be involved with Chris Jericho, right?
Oh, it's great, man. I used to do code breakers back in the day on my trampoline and walls of Jericho with my friends, and now all of a sudden I'm teaming with this guy. There's a freaking cardboard cutout. I'm on a t-shirt with him. We're in the inner circle. It's life's crazy. Definitely crazy.
Yeah. But as a part of the inner circle, which means now you're elevated here, you're on top, which also means you're probably going to have to take some crazy bumps in your AEW career. And to say that you've taken some crazy bumps would be putting it mildly.
Yeah, I saw, everyone else in the group, and I saw me, and I'm kind of, I like to believe I'm pretty self-aware. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, cool, I'm in this group. And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, I'm taking all the bumps for this group.
But you're the punching bag. Congrats.
I'm the punching bag, but hey, I'm cool with it, man. I used to take some crazy bumps in front of nobody, so at least if I'm taking these crazy bumps, a lot of people are watching now.
Right. Yeah. You're making a little bit more than an indie salary when you get hit by a car.
That was awful. Yeah, my wrist feels better than the last time we talked. Last time my wrist was still jacked up. Now it's better.
It's better now.
Let's talk about that bump, being run over by a John Deere vehicle or a golf cart or Kubota, whatever you want to call it, at full speed, I might add.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. He definitely didn't step off the gas on that one.
He didn't hold back. He didn't hold back at all.
Mm-hmm. And no, so really, Sammy, if you look at that goes down, and we haven't been doing AEW a whole year yet. It'll be October, but since we've been doing Dynamite, that goes down as maybe one of the more memorable bumps ever on Dynamite. I mean, you got to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like it at least. So I'm happy to hear that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if we're doing awards at the end of the year, but give me the bump man of the year or something like that.
Because it wasn't even just that one. It's that, then when we did the Stadium Stampede, I remember showing up at the stadium and asking, what this platform was. And they're like, oh, that's where we're doing the One-Winged Angel. And I'm like, oh, Sammy's taking that bump. I just knew without question. I was like, oh, man, he drew the short straw on this one.
The Stadium Stampede, that's my own fault, too, because I kept texting Tony saying, hey, I will jump off the stadium. Stadium's 200 feet or something like that. I was like, and then I think he thought I was joking. So I texted him again. I'm like, hey, no, I'm dead serious. I'll jump off the stadium. So they got this stunt coordinator. And then we were only approved for 40 feet. So stadium was out of the question. So that was my own fault. And then I wanted to do some kind of cool flip or dive. And then it slowly changed to, no. What if we just throw you off? What if we give you this? I almost took a Canadian off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. If we haven't seen enough Canadians. I don't think we've seen enough of those.
Wow.
And so the beginning of this year, too, speaking of Canadians, Dustin gave me a Canadian on the apron.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
Yeah. And I just remember thinking, this is literally the first of the year. It was January 1st. And so I was like, what a time to bring in then Dustin, who's been wrestling forever, to give me one of the most overused moves, one of the most crazy moves, Canadian Destroyer. I thought it was a welcome for wrestling in 2020,
So when you take a One-Winged Angel for that big a drop, you really got to trust your guys, don't you? I mean, talk about you talk to and say, guys, I trust you to do this to me, or I don't trust you. Don't fuck this up. I'm scared of what's.
Well, I told Kenny, I said, because he's such a pro. He's one of the best. So I didn't have any doubt in it. It was really just up to him how he wanted to place me. If he wanted to give me one of the nice ones that he gave me, or if he wanted to give me the driver version of that move. And I told him, I said, if you give me the driver one, I think I'm dead. So that's up to you. But what we've talked about before is that it was raining during the whole thing. We had to stop filming because it was a storm passing by.
2 a.m.
Yeah. And so then at almost 5 a.m. when we filmed this thing, that's when we went up there. I actually banged my shin getting up on that platform, and it blew up like a balloon the next morning. But so Kenny and I are standing up there, and I just remember thinking this is how I go. This is going to be it for me. It's the last.
Sammy Guevara. He got thrown off a stadium.
It's the last thing of the match. We've been up forever. And of course it's raining. It's wet. And I remember just being up there looking down and just thinking like, hey, if this is it, like I had a good run. And luckily it wasn't it. And I get to have more good runs. But it was definitely a scary moment. Well,
it was a hell of a story either way.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it would have been a hell of a story.
I'm like, I die, and then hey, they'll make a Dark Side of the Ring of me or something.
Right.
Or
look at this stupid kid taking these stupid.
Yeah, that's what everyone would say. I'd be like, he just was down to do anything.
Right.
A team.
Well, the good
player.
news is moving out of that, the Stadium Stampede became one of the most talked about matches of the year, and one of the most talked about matches I've ever been a part of. And I'm sure you realize how big a moment that was. That whole show.
Oh, Double or None was such a great show in general, but for me it was extra special just because me and Kip Saban were the buy-in the year before, and to go from the buy-in to the main event, which that's what Stadium Stampede was, the last match that went on. It was just like kind of crazy because I remember saying to myself at Double or Nothing one, I was like, hey, I'm in the buy-in, it's okay. I'm gonna work it. I'm gonna main event this thing. And maybe it was faster than I thought, but now I want to main event it singles, so right. we're going to keep working. And this was definitely a cool moment for me for sure, but now it's on to the next cool moment.
Maybe you'll actually win at a Double or Nothing once.
Hey, I'm 0-2, I'll be like Mankind. I'll just never get my Mania moment, but it's okay, as long as we keep entertaining the people at home and I keep getting those checks, I'm fine.
So, yeah, we all agree with that. Well, speaking of that, speaking of main eventing, you wrestled in the very first match ever seen on Dynamite on TNT. You and Cody. And that may not be considered a main event as far as a pay-per-view main event, but in many ways, that's a main event because that's the first time people have seen AEW on a national scale. That had to be a special moment for you.
Oh, that was the most nerve-wracking moment. Like that was probably the most nervous inside. Like if you could just go inside my mind or my body, and then I'm not trying to show it or anything. I'm wearing this panda head on my head, and I could turn the camera and show you if you want to mess up the audio.
Man, we see part of the panda head. We've seen plenty enough of the panda head, but go ahead.
More than
yeah, you and a lot of people online. No more panda head. But like I just remember thinking like, oh my God, why me? Like it's such a cool moment, but it's also a lot of pressure because it's like, if you do bad, this is the first match of this new show. And even though the rest of the show was a killer show, I would have felt just so awful if we would have just had a horrible match because Cody's so good. And, I call myself the best ever. And so if I have a bad match when the pressure's on, can I really call myself that? So I put a lot of pressure on myself that day, and I just remember thinking right before they're playing the little trailer or the promo package for the match, and I remember thinking like, I could still leave.
You're just standing in the ring, your music's playing. It's like, where is he?
Where is he?
Who else did we send out, guys? He left.
Oh my God!
But Sammy, the result was great. You had to be happy with that match. I mean, it was tremendous.
Definitely, and that's one thing. Like, no matter how nervous I was, it's like I had to go through with it because I needed to know if I'm good or if I could have a whatever match. Like, if I'm gonna do bad, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't at least try. And so that's why I was like, I can't leave because, if I leave, I shouldn't even be doing this. I got to do this. I got to go for it and see what happens. And hearing you say it was an okay match. It was good. It
was okay.
Yeah, exactly. It was average.
It was subpar.
It was a subpar match. It shows that, hey, I never would have known that result if I didn't try. So I had to.
It was also awesome on that same show because like you open Dynamite and then later on you're joining the Inner Circle.
Yeah, that was a crazy, crazy day. I remember just thinking afterwards, like standing in the ring, there's Jake Hager, there's Chris, there's Santana Ortiz, the whole elite, Dustin, Cody, they're all on the ground. And I'm just like, this is nuts. Like, wow. And then the next day, I think, is when they announced I was the main event for week 2 with Jericho. We're teaming up. And then I think even Randy Orton put me over. And then I just remember thinking, like, this is just so wild to me. It's like, yeah, crazy. I'll never forget any of that.
So when did you find out you were going to be a part of the Inner Circle?
That was probably around like All Out.
Okay.
Like I think it was Nick Jackson. He came up to me. He's like, "You know what you're doing?" I'm like, "Not really." He's like, "Yeah, you're going to be in this group called the Fist, or I don't know. They're working on the name with Jericho." And I'm like, "The Fist?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's kind of a whack name."
That's a dumb name.
It's kind of a takeoff of the hand, with Marvel Comics, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially there's 5 of us, one for each finger. Like, makes sense. But I remember thinking like, oh, he's ribbing me, especially because Nick, he's always messing around. So I was like, there's no way he's serious. I'll believe it when I see it, And like, I think it was at Fight for the Fallen Fight for the Fallen. They told me, Cody wants to work with you at the first episode of Dynamite. And again, it was like, okay, like we'll see it when we see it. And then they announced that one. And I was like, oh, they were telling the truth. And then later I find out, oh, he was telling the truth about the Inner Circle. And it's just one of those things in wrestling because you hear so much. It's like you never know what's for sure until it actually happens. So I wasn't going to get my hopes up for sure.
Because things change all the time.
Exactly.
All the time. They have better ideas and something happens and they change all the time. So I get that. You've had some great matches and you've had some you got a chance being a part of all this to meet Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Mike Tyson, the legend.
Talk about that.
So I think Chris has said this before. The original plan was for Tyson to knock me out.
Okay.
Which I was all for. And I remember people were coming up to me like, hey, just don't move. You'll be fine. And I wasn't scared at all. I was like, hey, even if he hits me and I wake up in a hospital, like it's going to be a hell of a moment. Yeah. And what a story. Like, hey, Mike Tyson knocked me out. Like, who can say that? I don't know who really wants to say that, but
sure.
If I'm going to get knocked out, what a guy to get knocked out by.
Sure.
But yeah, then ended up changing. He couldn't do it or something. But I remember just being in the ring. There's him, Henry Cejudo. I just think like, this is wild. We did the Double or Nothing. Now I'm in the ring with Mike Tyson. This is nuts. It's just those things like in wrestling, like I'm sure you guys have experienced this, like along the way, there's been bad moments where you're just like, I just want to quit or I just want to move on to something else. But then you don't. And then a cool moment happens and you're like, hey, I'm glad I didn't quit. And I've had so many of those over the years where I'm like, man, I just want to go do something else. And then I don't. And then something really cool I never would have thought of happens, like the Tyson thing. Who would have thought? Sammy Guevara, I was wrestling in my backyard and now I'm in a ring with Tyson. This is nuts.
Absolutely nuts. I know that, speaking of nuts, a couple of your matches with Darby have been absolutely crazy. Multiple ladders, lots of skateboards. Like, oh yeah, he's got the skateboard with the name Sammy written on it. It was intended for you. What's it like working with Darby now on TV, knowing that you guys worked a couple times on the indies together?
Darby's great. I think he's one of the best. Just the way he sells things and how he's like, people think he's so reckless because he does a lot of crazy things, but like he's so smart. And like I would love to work with him a ton more just because I think even though we've done some crazy matches already, I think no one's even seen like close to what we're going to do eventually. The Revolution match was definitely a special one just because I think, that was my, I think, first pay-per-view because I was on the buy-ins before or whatever. So that was like my first one. And then in that crowd, I think they were chanting like Sammy's an asshole and all sorts of different stuff. Like just to experience that, it was great. especially with him. And like you said, like we've worked before on the indies and stuff like that. And so to go from that to this, it's nuts.
And before Sammy became the Spanish god of AEW, he was having a pretty successful run, as Aubrey just said, on the independent circuit. And we'll talk about his pre-AEW career coming up on Unrestricted. One thing I'd like to talk about is State Farm Insurance. And I say I like to talk about that because I've been a State Farm customer, a member, if you will, since 1981, since the year that I was married. State Farm has surprisingly great rates on both auto and homeowners.
Tony, you've been a member of State Farm since before I was born.
There you go.
That means that they must have like great customer service. They've got agents available everywhere. Like, to be a member of a company for that long, you have to be really, really happy with their policies.
I'm happy with their policies, and now I'm happier, Aubrey, with their easy-to-use technology, because back then you would have to have the insurance card in your wallet. It was a paper insurance card or like a cardboard insurance card. Now you have it on your phone. They have a great app, and you have your insurance card right on your smartphone. So the technology that is advanced in the world has also advanced insurance, thanks to our people at State Farm.
So you can manage your coverage, pay your bill, file a claim, all just from your phone. Some you already carry around with you. Who needs cardboard cards anymore? Jeez.
No boy. A great price with even greater service. So Aubrey, as I always say, when you want the real deal,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You say that all the time, Tony.
I do.
Hey guys, this is Sammy Guevara, and today I'm interviewing Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards. Guys, you guys have been doing this podcast for a while.
Yeah,
we have.
It started when she ran over me with a golf cart.
Wow.
And I just thought, man, this girl can do it.
And honestly, I believe she did that because people think she's so nice and stuff like that, but she's a heel.
You need to know her. You need to know her. She is a heel through and through.
I'm an asshole. The biggest.
Yeah, why'd you push Jericho? That's like my father figure. You're pushing him.
Yes.
Because he told me to. All the internet thinks I'm putting myself over. Spoilers.
You're like, no, it's everyone else trying to get me over.
It's literally like I'm just doing what I'm told.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get started now.
Okay.
Hey. Who's coming in on this one? I don't know. Me?
You.
Me. Okay.
No, me. Hey, guys. Again, it's me, Sammy Guevara.
Stop it. We're on AEW Unrestricted. Sammy's trying to take over our podcast.
That's me. I'm Sammy.
Shut up, dude.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. I gotta wait. Sorry.
Sammy's had a really successful run on AEW Dynamite, having awesome, memorable matches. Pre-show, main event, doesn't matter. He's kicking ass. But prior to AEW, you had a really, really successful run on the indies. I know that your social media just says just a kid chasing a dream. So when did that dream start?
It started a long time ago. My parents, they had unprotected. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't talk about that.
Well, that's where it starts. I mean,
I think I've met your mother. I don't want to have this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom's going to listen to this and be like, what the heck? No, I was like 11, 10 years old, and I saw wrestling on TV. And I was just like instantly like, that's what I'm going to do when I'm older. And so from then on, it was just like, that's for sure what I'm doing. A lot of people, it's like the stereotypical story with all of us. It's like some people think it's going to be a fad or you're going to grow out of it. You never do. I started wrestling when I was 17 over at the Booker T Academy. And from there, it's just been a journey, even though like the past couple of years have kind of really picked up. This will be my 10th year wrestling professionally. And it's been a long journey, not as long as, Tony's been alive, but, hey, we don't got to talk about it, Tony. I know.
He's an old fart. It's fine.
No, combine your ages. It's not as long as I've been alive. Really.
I have to ask, Tony, when you hear people talk about like, I've been wrestling 12, 15 years, do you just laugh? Like,
I do.
Yeah.
I say that's as long as I've been whitening my teeth.
That's what I always
something
wonder.
like that, right? So you said you went to the Booker T school. How did you locate this? I mean, you obviously wanted to do it. So how did you get in touch with Booker T? How did this all come about?
So my original plan was to move to Philadelphia and go train over at. I screwed it up again.
God damn it! You're supposed to be the one wrestler we interview that's good at technology.
Okay.
Tony's like, let's go. So I was supposed to go wrestle in Philadelphia at CZW, and but ended up just not moving. And then we're trying to Google, like, there's got to be wrestling schools around here, and we found a couple, and then we just ended up settling with the Booker T one, and it's the power of Google, baby. And I was there for probably 3.5 months, and then he called me into his office, and he's like, hey, and I'm not even going to try to do a Booker impersonation because it'll be awful. But he just basically said, like, hey, you ready to do your first match? And instantly nervous, me was just like, yeah, definitely. But inside, I'm like, I have no clue. We'll find out, though. It ended up going great, and or great for that time. And Booker always says too, he gives you the tools, and it's up to you to go out and use them. And so that's kind of what I tried to do. I left the Booker T school, and I just tried to get my name out there in the Texas scene and wherever else I could, just trying to network, message like 1 million people, left on scene a bunch, but that's the game. You got to keep chucking along and writing everybody you can.
Just got to keep hustling.
Yeah.
I know eventually.
So
oh, go Tony.
Go ahead. No.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you. I love you more.
So you hustled for a long time. Eventually, you ended up having a dark match at WWE. I think you were Extra Talent Night of Champions. What was that whole experience like? Now knowing like you've had that, and now that you're on TV on a weekly basis.
Oh, Primo and Epico. They were my first dark match. It was me and Laredo Kid. And those guys were so like not selfish at all. They let us do a bunch of stuff. I was thinking it was going to be just like a squash. I think it was because Laredo Kid was there. And maybe my last name's Guevara. So they're like, this guy's cool. Then they realize this guy doesn't even speak Spanish. No. Why is he here?
Is he actually Spanish?
Yeah. What is going on? But yeah, I remember they were like, maybe you give me something like really cool here. And I'm like, can I do a shooting star leg drop? And thinking they're going to say no because that's like too cool. And they're like, sure. Actually, but you got to miss it. Can you miss it? And I'm like, man. And then my mind started thinking, I'm like, what can I miss that's even cooler? And I'm like, how about I do a 630 instead? And this is a dark match. Like the show is not even starting. And they're like, can you do that safely? I'm like, of course. It's me.
It's a 630. No big deal.
No big deal. And so I did it. And one of the cool moments is the ref that was there. He was counting the pin, and I'm just laying there looking up, just thinking how cool this is. And he's like, that was the best dark match ever. 2, 3. And then I think it was Primo. He's like, hey, thank you, man. And I'm in my own head at this moment, like, wow, this is so cool. And then he's like, hey, bro, thank you. I'm like, oh, shit, thank you, man. Yeah, thank you. As I'm like rolling out, I'm like, he thinks I'm an asshole for a second. I'm like, I'm telling this kid thank you. He's not even responding. Well, he wouldn't be wrong, but
No. Just normally.
So did you have a chance? Did you get offered for a full-time gig there, or a part-time gig, or what came about from that dark match?
Nothing really came too much about it. So I did extra work many times, and then eventually I just kind of saw like, okay, this is how they see me right now, and that's fine. It's up to me to go out and make a bigger name for myself. So one of the last times I was there, just because I was like, screw it. Like I've done extra work many times. Now I got to do something else. Yeah, I gotta, I don't know. So I had the idea of like, I'm going to go to Vince's office. And I remember, say what?
Good plan.
Yeah, I was like, screw it. I'm going to go to Vince's office and, at least introduce myself. I've never met this dude. I've been coming doing extra work for the past like 2 years. And so I go up to the door. First, it's always crowded. I was thinking like, there's no way it's going to clear up. It does clear up. I'm like, oh, I got to do it now. My heart starts racing. I get up to the door, and then I'm like about to knock, and I'm like, I could still just leave. But no, I knock on his door, and then I hear a loud, come in. And I'm like, I could still just leave. So I opened the door, and then Vince is not there. There's some dude on a computer. There's Road Dogg. And I'm just looking around like, where is Vince? Like, I just heard this loud come in. And I'm literally, this is like several seconds. I'm just like looking around confused. And Road Dogg's just looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing in here? And so I realized, I got to say something now. So I go, hey, my name's Sammy Guevara. I've been here many times, and I came here to meet the boss man himself, and yada, yada. I do my whole little spiel. And then Road Dogg, without saying a word, gets up out of his chair, walks like this close to me, like up in front of my face, without saying a word. My heart's racing. And he goes, the ball's on you, kid. Wow. I like your Moxley, kid, or Moxie. Vince isn't here today, but I strongly recommend you do this the next time we're here. And because I did that like on a SmackDown taping. So the next time we were there, I was like, screw it. This is not, because I was prepared for that to either be my last one. So I was like, I'm going to do it one more time. And then I do the same thing, knock on the door. This time, Triple H answers the door. And I'm like, this was not part of my plan.
I could still leave.
Yeah, I could be like, oh, sorry, wrong door.
My bad.
Yeah. And then, so I'm like, I do my same little spiel. And then he opens the door a little bit, showing Vince. And he didn't really open it for me to come in. He just kind of to show Vince. And I just squeezed myself through that door. Like,
there you
just
go.
Kind of, whoosh.
Oh, my God.
There you go.
I go up to Vince. I shake his hand. I do my spiel to both of them. I'm like, hey, I just want to let y'all know I'm going to make this business a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. And then Vince kind of chuckles. He's like, what was your name? I'm like, Sammy Guevara. He's like, well, nice to meet you, Sammy. And Triple H opens the door and they tell me, all right, well, good to meet you. I was fully expecting to get kicked out, that I already Googled like movie times to watch Spider-Man that was in the theaters at the time.
Oh my God.
And so I went back to the extra locker room. My bags were already packed. And I was like, yeah, any minute they're going to come here and kick me out.
All right.
Never did. Nothing. Wow. Yeah, nothing came from it except for I ended up getting a tryout later on that year. So I don't know if that was the reason or what, but ended up getting a tryout. Didn't work out exactly, but hey, when I was at the tryout too, I saw a bunch of things where I was just like, this is not where I want to be right now, or maybe ever. I just saw kind of how things were done. I'm like, man, if you're a professional wrestler, if you're not a model, a football player, it's kind of like, screw you. So I was like, nah, I don't want to be here right now.
That is a tremendous story. And the part of that story that I like the best, I think, is something that everybody who wants to, whatever you want to do, wrestling or whatever, you said the door was cracked open and you squeezed yourself through the door. I mean, that's perfect.
I saw the opening. I was like, I could fit there.
Yeah, exactly. You see the opening and you take it. Okay, that's tremendous. Great story, buddy. Great story. So Rey Mysterio Jr. is would you consider him your idol?
Oh, 100%. That was the first dude watching growing up where I was just like, hey, if he can do it, he's not the tallest of guys. I was never the biggest of kids. If he can do it, be the world champion, then why can't I do it?
Right.
Granted, naive kid, Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest of all times. But as a kid, I just remember thinking like, he's doing it. I could do it too.
Yeah. And he's still doing it, which is amazing.
Which is crazy.
Absolutely nuts.
I mean, he's eyeless now, but
that's right. Oh my God.
Just one eye.
One eye.
So after the WWE stuff didn't work out, but you ended up on Lucha Underground, which is a completely different type of TV experience to everything else, right?
Yeah.
Talk about what that experience was like.
So it almost didn't happen because a month before Lucha Underground started taping, I was signed to this company called Aero Lucha. And I'll say my same joke every time I bring them up. Hey, if you guys want some CBD, that's what they sell now. But I know if people like hear me in different interviews, they're like, we get it. That's what they do now. Yeah. But yeah, so I was signed to them. And even before I signed to them, I remember saying like a year before Lucha Underground was starting back up with season 4, I remember telling people, I was like, watch, I'm going to be in Lucha Underground season 4. And that will be the last season. And then one day I can be in the Rise and Fall DVD. And I didn't mean that like disrespectfully to the company. I just kind of saw, again, I think I'm pretty observant. And so I was like, I think that's what's going to happen. And then Aero Lucha ended up contacting me. I ended up hurting my right rotator cuff. I tore it in a match with Ray Phoenix at PWG. And so I couldn't really wrestle. And so I was like, and then I got offered this contract where I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to get paid regardless. Like now I can heal my shoulder kind of. So, all right, let's do it. Then Lucha Underground contacted me and I tried to work it out with them, but they wanted first rights. They're like, oh no, we want our first rights, but now you gave them to Aero Lucha, so we don't want you. And I'm like, okay, it is what it is. But I still had hope. I remember I talked to John Morrison like a week before and he was saying, you know, they wanted to bring you in. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen though. And he's like, why? And I told him the whole thing and he's like, oh, that sucks. I'm like, I don't know. We still got a week though. We'll see. A day before they start taping, or really the night before, I get a message from whoever and they're like, can you be on a flight at 6 a.m. tomorrow to come to LA to do the tapings? And I was like, yeah, definitely. Of course. And it ended up all working out. I was only on a few episodes, but hey, it happened. Rise and Fall DVD coming in 2025. You can see me in it.
I feel like your whole strategy is how do I get involved in all of these specials and DVDs that happen after shows have gone off the air?
I told Matt Jackson when he gave me that super kick that like broke my leg and folded me in half. We were talking and I was like, you know, in every wrestling game, they have like the little guy at the very bottom getting beat up or something on the cover. That's what I'm trying to get. I may not get the actual cover spot, but I'll get that tiny little spot where I'm getting super kicked or something.
Oh, man.
Sammy
Guevara,
right. Yeah, Sammy Guevara not only is an accomplished professional wrestler, a member of the Inner Circle and Les Sex Gods, he's also a very well-known vlogger, including climbing Mt Fuji. We'll talk about that coming up on AEW Unrestricted. We are talking with Sammy Guevara on AEW Unrestricted. I mentioned you are a top vlogger. How did that all start, buddy?
The vlog started just because, well, I've been making videos pretty much forever. And
okay, what's forever now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What age did you start, do you think?
Okay, probably when I was like 12, I picked up a camera and just started filming stuff.
Right.
I know that's only like, 15 years, and for you, that's like a cup of coffee or something, whatever saying I could say.
That's a quarter of my life, but no, go ahead.
I was going to, a quarter? I was going to say,
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Either way. Yeah, so since I was like 12, 13, something like that, I picked up a camera and then I would film like my backyard matches or I'd film different stuff. And I kind of just really liked the video aspect of stuff. And I used to make all sorts of different kind of videos. And none of them would kind of get traction or anything because I was kind of doing what a lot of other people were doing. And so around like 2015, I was kind of like, what are other people not doing? Like, or what can I do in wrestling? And I noticed not a lot of people were doing vlog style videos with wrestling. And so I was like, okay, let's try this out. And slowly, very slowly, they started getting more and more traction and people seemed pretty positive on it. And now a lot more people do them. But that was just kind of what I was looking at. I was like, this is what I do. I wrestle, but I also like making videos. Let's just combine those. It seemed obvious now.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard of you was actually like your vlog before I ever heard about you wrestling.
Well, there we go. See the power of that YouTube.
The first time we were actually on a show together, you're like, hi, I'm Sammy. Can you record my match? And you handed me your camera. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Sure, okay, whatever. So I just like stood ringside like you and Artemis Spencer. Like in
That's where my shoulder was messed up too.
Yep, it was. Yep, it was. It was a good match.
Yeah, and then I still tried to, even though my shoulder's messed up, I was like, let's still try to have like a normal match. I don't know, let's not half-ass it. He gave me like a power bomb onto his knees, and my shoulder was just hanging on by a thread, but whatever. Yeah, I do that a lot on the indies too, because I travel alone. I don't really have people I travel with. I try to ask people that look trustworthy, and so, you know, now knowing you, I know not to give you the camera, but before I didn't know. And yeah.
Well, you mentioned backyard wrestling. Did you use Sammy Guevara as your name, or did you have a name for backyard wrestling?
No, my backyard name was Zero. And the reason for that is because I was ahead of number one. Because it goes 0, 1, 2, 3.
0, 1. All right.
So.
Got it.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
And the next guy would be -1.
Yeah, -1. He's better than me. And then, goes on and on.
It.
Proud of you, buddy.
Yeah. The backyard wrestling, there were so many stories with that. Like, I'd be jumping off my roof and my mom would come outside and be like, get off the roof. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd do like a 630 onto some trash cans.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
So not really anything different than what you do now.
Yeah. The only difference is people actually watch this. And I got like 12 views before.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I mentioned climbing Mt Fuji. Talk us through that story, would you?
Oh, yeah. When I was in Japan in 2018, I was trying to do everything there. I was trying to go and see as much as possible. I was there for 5 weeks in the summer. And one of the last things that I was able to do, which was climb Mt Fuji. That is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I was also trying to get there and see the sunset from the top. Because I was like, that's going to be a dope shot. Just watching time lapse the sun going up. And so we kind of like hurried ourselves up there, which I don't think they recommend you do, because I ended up getting altitude sickness, which you don't see in the video, because climbing down, I got the biggest headache. Apparently I seemed like I was drunk or whatever. I was being an asshole because some people wanted to rest while they were there. I literally thought I was going to die. So I was like, I'm getting off this mountain. Like, you guys do whatever y'all want. I'm disappearing. And so I made everybody basically come with me because no one wanted to ditch me. But I was falling all over the place too, trying to go down certain parts. I was like tripping and all sorts of stuff. The lady that was with me, Miwa, who's this super awesome lady who showed me all around Japan. She was like taking care of me and holding my hand as I go down. It was really cute.
You mentioned about your mom saying, get off the roof, and you did 630 on some trash cans. What does she think about your career and all the crazy bumps you've been taking?
Oh, she's probably my number one supporter. Yeah, if you go check her Facebook or Instagram, you wouldn't think she has 2 other sons. Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely super supportive. If you ever meet her and you don't know that I'm her son, she'll let you know eventually. She'll be like, she'll tell me all these different stories from her at a bar or whatever. She'll talk to someone and be like, you know me, I just had to bring you up. I'm like, do y'all watch wrestling? And well, my son is a wrestler. She's super proud. And
good.
I'm going to continue to work hard and hopefully make her prouder.
That's awesome.
Well, but I'm sure she cringes at some of those crazy bumps you take. I mean, she has to.
Oh, yeah. She'll message me every now and then and be like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, but yes.
But didn't she take a bump in your most recent vlog?
She did. She took a bump, I guess, if that's what you'd call that. She ran into a wall.
Oh, fun.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's so funny you said that in the most recent vlog, which people can watch at Sammy Guevara on YouTube. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
And subscribe and like and all that fun stuff.
Plug it.
YouTube, baby.
So, I guess, Matt Cardona, who works for us now, Zack Ryder, he's in the success he had on his YouTube channel and getting himself over. I'm sure that was an inspiration for you as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Got to put him over because he was one of the first ones that I saw like really take advantage of this platform of YouTube. And yeah, he got himself so over with that YouTube stuff. And so I just remember seeing that and thinking like this guy's a genius. And so definitely, I think he inspired a lot of people, whether he knows it or not. Definitely got to give him credit because, if he doesn't do that, maybe there's no vlog, maybe there's no BTE, who knows? Right.
You recently, I guess, I don't know if recently, but got the silver play button on YouTube.
I did. I can turn this.
Don't turn the camera. Don't. I'll trust you.
Mess everything up as usual.
No. When you get the silver play button, what do you get? Do they send you something?
Yeah,
plaque thing. You can actually watch a vlog about it. I saw.
That's right on Sammy's channel. That's right. I just refer to myself in third person.
Okay. That's a big moment, though. I mean, it really is, because there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people out there starting YouTube channels, but not many get the silver button, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like for the longest time too, I was making these videos and getting like whatever views, and I was just thinking like, I may never get the play button, but I just enjoy making these videos, and some people seem to like them or it inspires them. So I'm just going to continue doing this as I'm on my journey to be the biggest thing in wrestling. And if something happens, cool. If not, I enjoy doing these. And luckily, it's picked up for me. And yeah, now I got that plaque. And now it's on to the 1 million plaque, which AEW got, I'm assuming, right? Because they hit 1 million subscribers.
I think so. Yeah, I think we got that.
Yeah, so they got that 1 million plaque, which now I want.
Very good. You do your own shooting and editing, right?
I do.
Okay. So unlike BT, you don't have a whole staff working for you.
No, I have nice people like Aubrey at shows, or
holding cameras.
Yes, I ask the people and try to explain certain shots. Aubrey was great.
There's a lot of like, hey, can you follow me as I walk through the tunnel with this camera so that I have some B-roll?
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, it's the funniest thing, especially like if you're watching it from afar. Like, look at this. I think Dion, he recorded Marco recording me.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, he was mouthing over it. He's like, hey, Marco, I want you to make me look cool and get this angle. And I'm like, that's basically how the conversation was going.
Has anything changed like with your recording or editing style since you've now been on Dynamite? Because I know that like the videos very much highlighted like your journey on the indies and whatnot, but now that you're doing, the same show every week, like how has that changed the vlog in any way? Yeah,
it's definitely changed. Like now you'll see like there's a lot more bits and stuff like that. Like before, I feel like it was maybe more just me, and but it's like how, there's only so much of me that people can take, and then it's like, okay, we get it every week, like especially since now we're only in Jacksonville too. But I like him. Like the one that we just put up with Marco, and I don't know if you saw it, where the big censored bar.
I haven't seen it yet, but I saw it pop into my email inbox, and I'm like, why is Marco naked, and why is Sammy in his underwear? I'm going to snooze this and watch it later.
Yes. You can all find out. Sammy Guevara on YouTube. But no, I really just enjoy doing it. It's fun, too, just to get other people involved and, like, collab with people's creativity. Like, QT, for instance, he was in the new one, and he was super funny in it, and I think it's cool just to show people a different side. Like a lot of comments were like, QT's way funnier than I thought he was.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're not just one-dimensional. A lot of people have so much more to offer, and BTE definitely does a great job at showing that, and I'm trying to do also a great job.
Yeah. And Sammy, you really are. I wanted to ask you about the 4-leaf clover tattoo on your thumb.
Oh, yeah.
Show us that.
This guy.
Look at that.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for that? And it had to hurt.
Oh, it definitely hurt.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
I've always wanted a tattoo, and so...
Stick it on the thumb, dude.
Yeah, and then some like thumbs up for good luck,
Okay.
So if I'm giving you a thumbs up, good luck. Thumbs down, bad luck.
So that's your only tattoo?
No, I have 2 of them. I have one on the wrist, too.
Gotcha.
This is kanji for the word more. And it's just a reminder to do more, be more, give more. And like when I was in Japan, I was just like, trying to find motivation to go to the gym and stuff like that, because it was like more difficult there. Especially if they saw this thumb thing, they have like the thing with like no tattoos at all.
That's
so I'd have to cover this stuff. And so like sometimes they'd kick me out of certain gyms, and it was just like frustrating. So I got this thing just to remind myself, like, be more than what I am, try to be greater every single day.
Well, you certainly have done that throughout your career. And I was wondering, when you watch yourself back on Dynamite, the replay, are you overly critical of yourself? Most people are. Or do you walk away saying, you know what, I like that? How do you approach it? When, like, for instance, we get, as we know, we get in the office, we get a show, we get Dynamite like a couple of days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch it.
No, I'm with you.
I hate listening to myself.
Yeah.
And I hate looking at myself. So I didn't know how you approach that or not.
No, I'm 100% the same. Like, I remember the Stadium Stampede. I actually hated it at first.
Right.
Believe it or not, and everyone was putting me over for it. I just thought I could have done a million things better and stuff like that. And so it's like, it's so hard for me to watch my matches and stuff like that. Like, look what you're saying, because we're our own worst critic. And it's like, what's the word? It's so awful. Like, it just makes you feel so awful. Like, it takes so much for me to watch this, because it's like, I know what I'm about to put myself through by watching this. Like this tonight, on Dynamite, like, I know I'm going to rip myself like apart watching this, and of things I could have done better. But that's how you improve, and I think it's important for us as entertainers to watch ourselves back and to be critical, but also to remind ourselves, hey, we're doing our best.
Yeah,
and I think it's important to remind ourselves of that sometimes.
We're all trying to do our best. We're all trying to get better.
Yeah. You're not kidding, and buddy, you are, and. We are so glad you're back.
Yes.
I think the fans are glad to see you back. But I think for all of us backstage, we're glad to see you back because you're such a great guy and such such fun to be around. And that's why it's great to have you back on two levels.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back. And I'm glad you mentioned about the backstage, because one of that first day I came back, I was really nervous. Like, I didn't know how people were going to be with me. And everybody was very positive and very nice to me, and so I just appreciate you guys, because you guys welcome me back, and that was really cool.
I know that when everything happened, right? Like, I sent you a text saying like, "Hey, I'm here. Let me know if there's anything I can do." And like, I was just so freaking happy to see you back, because like, I know you're gonna be a better person. Like your tattoo says, like, just be improve, right? And the energy you bring to, as much as like I'm an asshole to you and I give you so much shit, like the energy.
She's an asshole to everybody.
Yeah, sure. It just means I love you. But like the energy you bring to our family is so, so wonderful. And I'm so happy I can call you a friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to try not to get all mushy and whatnot right now, but thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you guys.
Check out Sammy's vlog on Sammy Guevara's YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to on YouTube. Also, subscribe to the Unrestricted podcast for free, wherever you get your podcasts. And Aubrey, you can tell us where you can see the video episodes of YouTube.
You can see the video episodes on YouTube beginning of every week after the audio episode airs. Definitely watch it. Subscribe, rate, review, ask questions. We've got this hashtag thing on Twitter now. If you hashtag AEW podcast, ask us things you want to ask us, future guests, old guests, us. Like, we love to hear the feedback from people.
Right.
And do not forget.
Put me over. Tell me how Sammy's doing a great job. Watch the video to see how I mess up the audio.
Stop it. Stop it. Sammy, go back.
Wow.
Okay.
Damn it.
All right, here it is. Here's the place you can see the video. TNTdrama.com.
Boom.
TNTdrama.com /All Elite Wrestling /Unrestricted Podcast. All right, there you got it.
And most importantly, every Wednesday you can watch Dynamite on TNT, 8:00, 7 Central.
Thanks, Sammy. I'm Tony Schiavone for Aubrey Edwards. Thanks for listening to AEW Unrestricted.
My little heart.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.